Well, since Twitter's turned into Farage man bad after the explosion with reform, and obviously the media can't wait to report on it, can they? They can't wait to dig their oar in and fuel it. I mean, there's all sorts of really serious things going on in the world, never mind the country, and yet the media is just talking about this. I understand completely that Nigel Farage seems to have built up this reputation as being difficult. Do you not think they're all a bit difficult? Do you honestly think that people who are, like Rupert, top of the tree, are going to be easygoing? I mean, how is someone like Rupert going to adjust to not being top dog in an environment where someone else is the top dog? And I'll say one thing, I don't think, apart from Lee Anderson, any of those Reform MPs would have won any seats with Tice still running the party. No one was really interested in it. Farage comes back and they all get seats. And whichever way you look at it, Rupert going to a newspaper talking about who should be the leader and Farage might not be the right leader, it's not really very good form, is it, after 6 months in the job? Bearing in mind, all of them are pretty naive on parliamentary procedure and don't know how to behave in Parliament. It's as simple as that. It's nothing like being an MEP. An MEP was a jolly. It was like a well-paid jolly. It was an easy life. They didn't bloody do all. They're told how to vote. Expenses, 200 grand a year they get paid, plus. So you can't compare that to being a British MP. And the media are guilty of focusing on this because the media love nothing more than for the Reform Party to fizzle out. Personally, it's a personal viewpoint. I think to get rid of Nigel Farage at this moment in time is a huge mistake because the wider public that will never see a video from me and never see your comments on it and never read my Twitter page or my Facebook page haven't got a clue this is going on. They don't really care who these people are. And they'll decide where the country goes. So then what will happen is they won't follow politics for years, for the next 4 years. Then all of a sudden, because they're naffed off with just about everything that Keir Starmer's done, they'll come out and want to vote. And that's if we haven't been dragged to the precipice of a world war with Keir Starmer. It's funny, isn't it, that rumours were about saying Rishi Sunak said he didn't want to be Prime Minister on a war footing. And suddenly he steps down and it causes an election. And Starmer wins. Don't forget, it's a huge majority, but a low turnout. So, big fish in a small pond. He'd never have got that if the Tories had been decent. So I believe we have been kippered, stitched up like a kipper, the public, time and time again. I think it's gone on 20 years. And as people are learning now, the people who run the country are the civil servants. They're the blob, they're Whitehall. Thousands of them, well, there's over 1,000. And the politicians are just the front men. They're the ones to throw your rotten fruit at, or clap your hands to, or wave in support. They're just the front men. And unfortunately, they usually get directives, as I've said, policy from those that are working on it day in, day out. And when government changes, i.e. the front men, the party, they don't change, they stay put. And they're all mainly Blairites, so we're scuppered. But I don't give up hope because the thing is, there's more people aware of it now than there were 8 years ago when I started. Talk about an uphill battle. My friends just thought I'd gone bonkers. Some of them still do. I had some round for dinner the other night, voted to remain, and had every in the arm you could get, and quite happy to be in lockdown. Sadly, she likes Deborah Meaden and supports Keir Starmer, so they didn't get a pudding. I won't go in that far, not a chance. Anyway, she's a bit OCD as well, so they were hanging about a bit, and I thought, it's about time you buggers went, really. So when she's going on about how fastidious she is, I managed to tell her I hadn't cleaned my fridge out for 12 months. And then she said she were full. You don't have to do everything by the front door, do you? So as she's leaving the house, she's kissing me goodbye. She said, we'll have to do this again sometime. I said, do we? No thanks. So unfortunately, a lot of relationships are broken down because of politics. But I'm not too sorry about it. I just think I've probably been friends with the wrong people for 30 odd years and didn't know. At least you don't have to do all that cooking and changing beds when they're staying over. So we're the victims in all this, but we don't have to be a victim, do we? Because as long as Rupert Law, it'll all bubble up and boil down all this. And, I'm still struggling to find out why anybody would go to a national newspaper after being in a job 6 months to say that the bloke who's at the front isn't the right one, but he's been there 25 years. That in itself is a bit of a woo warning sign, but they're all rats in a sack. I've said it before. But the thing is, this kind of stupid publicity completely then overshadows a lot of good stuff that's going on. And for instance, back in December, someone I'm I'm in communication with, but the most frustrating thing for a blogger like me is to see this take up so much media time, because the media want it, because they want to dampen Farage down anyway. Rupert Law's a shining star. So wouldn't all this have been better behind closed doors? I'm really suspicious of how his Twitter's been handled this weekend. I think that'll play more of a part in things. And then the really good stuff that we should know about doesn't get any airtime. There was a couple of articles in what I call secondary publications about this in December, but some local people have actually stopped an asylum centre coming to their area. How good is that? That should be out there so that other people who are faced with this should know about it. The people of Bexhill-on-Sea have stopped an old military base being used as an asylum centre. This was done with boots on the ground. Ordinary people, not high-flying politicians, not these bloody comedians that we're paying in Westminster to fight for us. They did not. This is just ordinary people getting together. Months and months of tenacious attention to this. And it's in the Conservative Woman. I'll tell you what the title is. It's called How We Battled Against an Asylum Centre and Won by Nigel Jacklin. And that's the guy I deal with in WhatsApp. This is a tale of this is great. It's like when I got Halal Meat banned in Lancashire schools. That's a victory. There's loads of these things going on all the time. That media doesn't tell you anything. It's just propaganda, wall-to-wall propaganda, trying to get you to think the way they want. So this kind of thing gets missed. Rupert Law, ironically it happened to be Rupert Law, brought to the attention of the House how young white boys are the most underprivileged in the country. And he did quite a long statement on it, and I agreed with every point he made. They are. They're the ones that are being overlooked. Talk about, everybody wants diversity, equity and inclusion. These young boys aren't being included. They've got the worst opportunities. But there's one thing I've noticed while I've been around these politicians for the last 9 years, is there's nothing they like more than talking about themselves and how it affects them and what's happening to them. Like Ben Habib is a really good bloke. He's very, very knowledgeable, but he's moaned and groaned about the Reform Party endlessly since he left. And other people that didn't win, that have left, have moaned and groaned about reform. This is against a backdrop of the whole of Parliament not taking any notice of us. So don't you think all these people just should zip it? And even though they don't like aspects about each other, work together. There's no need for any of this in the public domain, especially when it's coming from people, I'm sorry, but I feel quite strongly about this, that have lost twice, but stuff from. These are good guys. These aren't bad people. These are people who are in my constituency I vote for. But I do not understand the public backbiting when all that's on offer, away from, say, the Reform Party. I don't really care about reform. I just want whatever vehicle it's called. You could call it then, we're not taking any more party, and I back it. Because that's what I want to happen. I want change. And for me, as long as Rupert Law doesn't actually leave politics, it's a seat that they can't get. The Uni Party, it's away from them. They can't get it. We're in with one. And unfortunately, that means Reform lose out and they'll have to find another one. But they'll do it. There's a lot of talk on social media about how branches have been neglected and asked to stand down and things like that. But we don't know why. We don't get the other side of it. And I've mentioned it before, what are branches? Branches are just volunteers, really, who offer to be the place where leaflets can be dropped. This is why I don't, I can't put my name to any one political party or one political movement, because I think, oh yeah, that's going to be good. And then, I think the Great British Park is a good idea, but then I find out that one of the people involved in it wants Boris Johnson back. Well, I can't back that, because he betrayed us the most, in my view. I can cope with being betrayed by Starmer because I can't bloody stand him, and he's not my politics anyway, and I didn't vote for him. But I can't cope with people on my side that let me down. That's the bit I find a struggle, especially when I've given up personal time, campaigning in the flesh, using my time, my spare time. Whatever I'm doing now, I could be doing something else, couldn't I? So I'm a bit of a lone wolf, and not because I'm, I can't join in with things that don't make complete sense, but I don't mind promoting things that make sense to me at that time. And in politics, things will keep changing. This will blow over. How reform recover, I'm not sure, but I think they will recover. But it shouldn't put you off, because what this should open up is, right, we know everybody's fed up and reform have missed the mark on this. So what we have to do is take notice and tell our friends not to be afraid to vote for a really first-class independent if they haven't got a Reform Party candidate. Because all we need is fresh faces. And if the small parties had worked together, we'd have that, but they won't. Guess why? Egos. Now, at the risk of sounding sexist, they are all men. And I just have a feeling that if they were kind of peppered with a few females that have a different attitude, maybe the dick swinging contest wouldn't be so prolific. So when I say to you that there isn't time to set anything else up, there isn't time to get new faces known. You've seen how difficult it is with what we've got. There isn't time, but it's a long time for us sat here like sitting ducks, watching things unfold with a government that's prepared to take us to the brink of war. Some people even suggest to cover up their wrongdoing with all the money they've made from spurious places, and the damage that they've caused with intensified, the thing they rolled out on us. I can't say it too much. So we have to be vigilant and watching it all the time. And I'm not joining into Farage man bad, because I don't think Farage man is coming out of this very nicely at all. None of them are. Idiots, the lot of them, for going public about any of it. This is an in-house. It says quite clearly in the statement, this is in-house. It was workplace, not Rupert. But then I do think the bottom half of the letter was a bit sloppy, and one or two of you pointed it out on the thread. So that isn't just me, is it? Because one or two of you said, no, this is a direct assault on Rupert. But then again, as I've explained, and I think you should know, most of these high-profile people you rely on do not run their own Twitter pages, whether they're just high-profile celebrities or media people. Bev Turner runs her own Twitter page, but some media people and, of course, politicians. So Rupert's not unique in that, but I do think that I find it odd. I just find it odd that he's took to social media so frequently with so many things, like dissing. To me, you stood there with this bloody badge, haven't you? Vote for me, I work for them. And then when it hasn't gone right for you, for whatever reason, it's like, oh no, they're rubbish now then. They're rubbish. Oh no, I couldn't work for them. And all people that have come out at woodwork from MEPs, have you seen them? What's he called? Stephen Wolf. They're all out there now. Oh yes, well, it was terrible to work for. Everybody had me down to be the next leader. Oh, did they? That's funny. What have you done since? What have you done since? Is it, maybe do you have to text something? Is there some magical tablet that turns you into a nutcase once you get involved in politics? I'd never survive. I couldn't cope with it. I couldn't keep it shut. Blah, 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 be out. So I think what we have to do moving forward is just watch it unfold. Just watch it unfold. You don't know the story. I know quite a bit more than most people. And, you know, all I see is Rupert bloody managed in-house bullying and he should have done it better. And it's evolved from there. And, you know, you see, it's the trouble is, and we all know our journalism is biased. You've got papers that support Labour, papers that support the Tories, and once the people get hold of it, you'll get a version of a narrative. You're not getting the truth. They couldn't tell you whether the Leaning Tower of Pisa was leaning to one side or not, could they? They'd have to make some spin on it. Saying it was actually straight up before. So all I'm saying is be careful what you get sucked into. Just take everything at face value. I'm not even commenting on it much because there's other things, as I say, that people should know about. You know, like the introduction of this lab-grown meat. It's supposed to be coming in 2 to 3 years. No thanks, it won't be coming in this bloody house, I can tell you. And you can keep your crunching insects to yourself. When I see Klaus Schwab have his first mouthful, I'll take it on board. When I see him cancelling Aberdeen Angus steaks at these summits, oh yeah, when they go to a summit, they have all fine wines and Aberdeen Angus steak and fresh water salmon. Oh, they have all the best stuff because they're going to swap up carbon credits about for us. Oh, plebs, we'll have to swap. You don't want a lump of steak, you'll have to not go to Benidorm for a week. It's just madness what's coming down the pipes. And while we're doing all this, and especially to all these people who think, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? You can't leave Britain. There's a lot of people left Britain to go to Europe, especially Spain. And sadly, sometimes I like to show off about it on threads to up poor buggers that are stuck here. Europe's further down the pan than we are, a lot further. And Christine Lagarde, you know, she used to be in charge at IMF. Christine Lagarde, she has loads of scarves, but they cost her like £1 million a piece. She doesn't go to a factory shop like me and get 3 for a tenner. Christine Lagarde took great pride in telling everybody how far down the road they were to central bank digital currency the other day. And you think moving to Spain's a good idea. Well, I hope you enjoy the sunshine. And I hope you do have a very nice time, actually. But, you know, don't be thinking there's anywhere to go locally. I'll do my prophecy now. They'll paint Trump as being absolutely a head case, that he's mad. He's mad as a box of frogs. That's how the media will treat him. And there's only people like me and you that'll be bothered to watch the reality of it all, that will know the truth. Because they're terrified of it all coming out. The money that's been made, the money, it's billions and billions. And where is it now? And our country's no different. Anyway, the blog of the day. Look, this isn't me. I'm not, I've just been around this for so long and I've got good contacts. This is like having a brew at my house. We're just having a natter. And you can always find out for yourself if you think I've got anything wrong and put it on the thread. It's actually very useful, that, because I always look it up. If I've got something wrong, I would apologise, and but you'd have to look in community notes, whatever it's called. And don't forget to click, remembered it, don't forget to click the thing. Is it a bell? No, there's something you can click. Just click like, just click follow or subscribe, I think it is, to my channel to help it grow, and then more people get to know what I'm thinking.